Welcome, class. This is class 2 in the jacket fitting course. We are continuing to do the measuring. We're continuing to do the adjustments. We have not gotten yet to the pattern where we want it to be to cut the actual line out and cut this out of muslin. So how do you guys feel? Do you feel that you accomplished something? You kind of got a little bit of it? How do you guys feel?
I feel good.
Yep, you're feeling good. Everybody's rested. Um, the most important thing is that when I give directions, that it's not just directions, that you're able to somehow process it and realize what we're trying to do. It may not happen right away, but that's what I'm hoping will happen because these processes that I'm showing you are the same that you would apply to any pattern anytime from now on to check fit and to adjust, whether it's for yourself or a client. So that's really good stuff. And this is industrial, not commercial fitting processes. Okay, so what I started off, we had your pattern, and I'm going to go to that. All right, so this is what we have so far. Bethany, you did a pretty extensive growth on your waist, right? On all three pieces, plus your facing, right?
Mhm.
And I just want to look real quick to make sure before we go any further that that is correct. So can I see yours, please? Okay, let's see what you got.
Okay. I cut at the waist and I added 1.5 inches.
Perfect. 2.5 inches. And write it there, please, so you don't forget.
It's only 1.5.
You sure?
Hmm. This one's 1.5. Yeah, they're all 1.5.
Because we thought we wanted to do, let me just look at my notes. Is that what I asked you to do?
I
Yeah,
think
let's make sure. For three, how much off were you? What was your high point shoulder to your waist?
it's. Let me get my notebook. High point shoulder to waist was 16. Wait, it said it. So I got the second time I got 19, but then we did it again and it was 16.
If it was 16, that's already what we have. So I don't think that's correct either.
Maybe did I rewrite it somewhere else? So I do it again?
High point shoulder to waist is 16, which is where I gave you the actual line. That's the line for the pattern. That's not the measurement that you have.
Well, I had the second time I had 19.
Okay, so 16 is what the high point shoulder to waist is that I'm actually, so that's what you're getting confused with. That is the line that is actually required to make the measurements. I had everybody do that on the 16 line, right?
Yes.
So you said yours was 19.
Yes.
So we wanted, that
So
was,
right now it's at 18.
right now it's at 18. And I was okay with that,
Yeah.
if I remember. Okay, right in that spot that you have a in 1.5 inch extension there.
Okay.
In the extension, right, 1.5, put little arrows or whatever you need to do so that when I'm asking you that over and over, you have that information.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So then, okay, we have that. And I want to see that on all your pieces, please. I want to make sure that each one of those pieces, including the facing, has it. So the facing has it as well. That's the front.
This is front. So
Okay.
1.5 there,
Yep.
then 1.5.
Yes.
This is the
Side.
side,
Yep. Side back. Yep.
and then this is the back. 1.5.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Okay. All right. Before you go any further, Bethany, we're going to have to do something on yours. So wherever that, show me your pattern. Let me see. Let me put the camera on your pattern, please. Okay. So, not that one, the front that has a dart. So you're going to have to continue those lines that are missing, right? Where the dart is. You see
Yeah.
mine? So you need to now notice on mine, see if I can get closer down. The dart goes out and it peaks out around here, which is about, let's see, it's about let's get the right ruler here. It is 3/4 of an inch down from our waistline marking that it goes out. So it goes out, boom, and then it kind of goes straight down from there. So you have to make sure you follow those lines and fill in that line, please, that are missing for your darts.
Okay.
And also fill in real quick with a pencil, not a pen, on the sides. So you have a cutting line for all the sides. Whatever's missing here, whatever ruler is necessary for the sides to connect those dots. You got to connect everything there, if that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So Susie, we did not do any lengthening on your pattern, correct?
No.
Okay, so we're good on that. So on you, Susie, I want to know what your center back measurement to the bottom of your jacket is, please. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, 24 inches center back neck to jacket hem. We measured that at 24.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. So yours is 24, I think, and that's what the jacket actually measures, guys. So then you're fine. And I'm fine. I think we have to check Bethany's at this point. We're doing all length measurements before we do width measurements. We're only doing some width measurements at the same time to get the apex proper. Okay, yep. So you want to find your line, yep, and correct it there. If it is a curved line, you may have to use a curved ruler, Bethany. Keep that in mind, okay?
So just to clarify, if my length were longer than the pattern or shorter, I would have to adjust the pattern.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you get a chance to watch the videos?
I watched a lot of videos, yes.
No, did you watch the one of our class?
No, I didn't get a chance to go. I mean, I started it, but it was late last night that I got it.
Sure, sure.
Asked for it, but I wanted to review that in order to make sure all my lines were right, but I didn't get a chance.
Yeah. That's something you can look over as well.
Yeah.
And like I said, I took off half of that video because that was a 5-hour session that I got down to about 2.5 hours. I don't want to spend the time on that. That should have happened as soon as you did that. So every time you make a length, you're going to have to connect those lines. So now we want the center back. So now we need to get so now guys, we have to get the center back to hem length. What was yours, Bethany? I know yours changed.
Right. So
Oh, that was.
back to him was 25 inches.
Okay, so now that is a problem, and that doesn't make sense. Let me explain. If your waist was 3 inches off that hem, I know you measured it a couple times. I also heard you say something about 28 or 29 when
No,
you measured a couple times, correct?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember you saying 28 or 29, and that would make more sense, guys, because if you are off 3 inches at your waist, you're obviously going to be off 3 inches at the hem, right? So that's something to just kind of process and understand a little bit. So I'm not too concerned about your length because I think we gave you enough length now, Bethany, to accommodate whether it is 25, whether it is 28, or whether it is actually 29. And we can make any more adjustments if necessary, once we get the muslin in, right? So I think that's going to be the only adjustment you're going to need on that. So now we're going to go to the sleeve because we didn't get there, right? So let me go to the sleeve. Okay, and on the sleeve, we put the bicep line in, right? And we went all the way across. So we have that in pencil. And I think we also put in the hem. So the hem from your line, guys, whatever your line is 2 inches up. It's actually a little less, but I think this is what we're going to put is 2 inches up. So find your actual line. If you have to, use a highlighter, right? Because you guys don't have color on yours. So highlight the line that's supposed to be yours. Then draw a line from this angle only, 2 inches up, okay? And there as well, same thing.
Oh, on both sides, okay.
Still 2 inches up here. And then on the other part of the sleeve, you find your line, highlight it, go 2 inches up from your line. We're not going to worry about that part so much unless we're going to be adjusting. We're going to take the main sleeve for a moment, like that. And what was your sleeve length?
Um, oval sleeve length was 24.
24.
24.
Susie, what was yours, please?
23.5.
23 and a half. Okay, and 24. Remember how we went in, we found the cap, and this is the center notch, and we went down a half of an inch from that cap. We circled it, and that is going to be your measuring point right here, right? We did that already. You guys have that? Half of an inch in from your,
Is that where we're measuring down to the length?
yes.
So let me try that then.
I mean, I want you to have that marked. Do you have that marked, please?
Mine's marked.
Yes. Yours, Bethany?
Yes.
Okay, so from that, watch me first. I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to measure down to that line. And what do you get?
23.25.
Yep, that's perfect. That's exactly what it should be there. If you're on the right line, yours is probably a little bit less actually. Yours is actually 23 and a half, from your line, Susie. Bethany, what do you get?
20,
Probably get 23 only.
22 and what would that be? 5/8?
I see.
No.
Let me just check these real quick.
Do I need to lower mine then?
I'm not too sure we have to. Yours is like 23 and an eighth, Bethany. But you said yours was 25?
You
So
talking about easy
I'm
or?
talking to Bethany for a second, and then I'll get you, Susie. Don't worry, don't worry.
Yeah, just,
Okay, so see Bethany where that lengthening line is?
Yes.
You're going to have to cut that paper,
Oh wait, yes.
and then you gotta lengthen it 1 inch. First, I want you to make sure you lengthen your grain line before you touch anything or cut anything. Go ahead and lengthen your grain line on that pattern piece. And do not forget to do that on the second pattern piece. Right? Like that. You won't need it as much because it goes right through your lengthening line, right? We're only going to worry about this lengthening line because that is the traditional lengthening line that is used generically. I'm going to have to see the way you're measuring your body. Okay, watch me for a second because you might need to do more. So the length was, that's why I wanted you to have a really good t-shirt with an actual see my t-shirt is actually on my cap where it needs to be. Some t-shirts that are really hiked up like that. We need to have it where it actually hits the shape of your arm like this. We're going to that seam, slightly bent, and then go ahead and take that measurement to the actual bone on your wrist. So the bone on my wrist here is only 21 and, oops, let's go this way. It's only 21 and 3/4 or 7/8 for mine. I have short arms.
It's 23 and a half.
Okay, yours is 23 and a half. Yours is still good. You're a good measurer. You're good. Okay, so I want you to remeasure that because this is really crucial. This is hard to change afterwards, so we kind of have to get this one right. Yep. Let it go behind your arm, Bethany. Your elbow, right? Like that. And then you have to peek. You can peek in the inside because there's measurements on both sides of that measuring tape, hopefully.
5.
You still got the 25? Okay,
Yes.
then we're gonna do that. So go ahead then, Bethany, and add 2 inches to your sleeve. Okay?
Is it to your wrist, like
Yeah,
right here, or is it
it's
down to your bone?
the bone on your wrist.
Okay,
The
so
bone that's on your wrist. This
let's
guy.
do it right here. Okay, let me try that one more time then.
Because we're a little higher on this anyway, so we'll be okay. And yours, you said was 23 and a half about
I guess the bone would be more like 23 and a half.
that makes more sense. Because you're 5'4", correct?
Yes.
Okay. So this is where I think I'm going to have to make a call. You say it's 23 and a half now?
Because I was going all the way to like right here.
Well, yeah, that's something we do later. That's something and we're going to add, usually we add 1 inch in that area. So on the sleeve length, we're adding 1 inch, right? To your sleeve length.
Okay.
So, if you are 20, you said, what are you? Say it again.
23 and a half.
Okay, 23 and a half. And we're at 24 and a half. Okay, 1 inch is still, I think I still would do 1 inch because did I say that was 23 directly?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's 23 and 1/4 there. Go ahead and just add 1 inch. But I want to make sure again, because I want to give you enough to be able to wear this over something. So, if you're long there, you're probably long in your arms as well. You wear your jackets with stuff underneath it, like long sleeves and stuff. Okay, then go ahead and add 1.5 inches.
Okay.
Add 1.5 inches on both those pieces exactly, and then carry yours. Just follow that
Oh,
line.
I'm cutting on the hem.
Nope, you're not cutting on the hem. You're cutting on the lengthening
Oh,
line.
okay, okay, I see.
Yep, it's clearly there. Same on both pieces. 1.5 inches for you. Okay, Susie, let's see yours again. You said how much was yours?
23 and a half.
23 and a half. Okay.
I
And
measured that.
even if we add 1 inch, okay, which is what we're adding to everything. So I would probably go down on yours as well, Susie.
So cut on the lengthening line and add 1 inch.
Add 1 inch.
Okay.
Yep.
On both pieces?
On both pieces, but you've got to carry that lengthwise grain so that you have something to follow, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Because I have short arms, guys, and mine is like anywhere from 21 to 20 and a half. Yes. So I'm going to show you where I cut it because I actually go up on mine. So I'm going to cut mine out so you can see on this lengthening line. And this is what you do if you have to shorten it. I shortened mine to half of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead then after on my edge. If you have to shorten things, Susie, this is something you might want to check, but you're actually lengthening yours. I'm going to go up half of an inch on mine, like that. Draw a line to shorten my sleeve, like this. And before I tape anything down, I'm slapping the ruler there. Guys, you have to do the same thing when you're lengthening. Before you tape anything down, you're putting your ruler on that grain line and adjusting the piece accordingly, right? To make sure that that ruler has a straight grain line and that you are on the line that you need to be here before you tape it down, right? Okay. I'm going to check yours in a minute. I want to make sure you guys are doing it right, okay?
I'm adding an inch and a half, right?
Adding an inch and a half. We have to add 1 inch for length from the measurement on the bone, right? You're doing okay, Susie? I'm going to check yours in a minute.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Measuring 1 inch and lowering it 1
You're
inch.
lowering yours. I'm raising mine a half of an inch. And you are lowering, both of you are lowering. Like I said, before you tape anything down, put your ruler there on the grain line and do that little play with the pieces.
Wait a minute, I'm shifting. You have to make sure to connect the cutting line too.
No, don't worry about the cutting line, the grain line. The cutting line we will correct. We will smooth. They
Oh, okay.
should, they should match up pretty close if you're lengthening so much. It's when you're shortening that you'll have a discrepancy. See, mine just slightly off if my grain line is mesh. I'm gonna, before I tape it, put my ruler, you see my ruler there on the grain line? And
Okay.
I'm adjusting these lines, making sure I have exactly what I need there. Tape it down. On this side of the thing, tape it down. Okay, we got it. There you go. Put your ruler up higher, all the way up to the top of the grain line. Have good practices. Higher. There you
You know,
go.
oh,
Yes. There you go. Now you can tape one side, check, and tape the second side. Let me see how you're doing, Bethany. Okay, so now smooth those other lines, and they are slightly curved. So find your line on the width or your black line, and again, put those in for the cutting. Yep, that are missing. Yep. You got it, Susie. You're doing good. There you go. It's not an outward curve, Bethany, it's an inward curve.
It's a little bit
Oh,
off.
that side might be slightly outward. You're right. That side is my slightly out. Not that much, but yeah, slightly. We don't want to bump too much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Trying to connect them.
Yep, you got it. So when that happens, you
good.
have to take the distance between the two is what we say. So if one is hiking out, right, and one is hiking in, see how I have that? You've got to go in between the two lines and connect it if there's a big difference. If it's slight, it's okay to chop off that 16th of an inch. If it's more than a 16th of an inch, you have to go in between and kind of tally those lines.
Okay.
So and when you're taping stuff, guys, tape the back as well. So I flipped my pattern and I taped it. I'm flipping this pattern piece. We don't want all this thing to hang out. Tape it down. Okay.
Okay, I think I'm done.
Okay, so now you need to have your measurements next to my paper that I just had you print out. Did you print out the one I just sent you, the most recent one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so but you have to have your measurements nearby, so your old paperwork has to be kind of close by so that we can refer to all these adjustments, because we're gonna go widthwise now. I think we did all the length measurements, guys. Bravo, let's do width. Apparently, we're doing good. We're doing good. You guys have great angles. You guys are better filmmakers than I am at this point. You're doing great with that. So amazing. Um, because that's 90% of it, right? We can go throughout the entire class. We don't see the problem, and then it's a wash. So that's so good that we have the cameras all working out really nicely. I'm going to go back to getting the right camera for this one, but here we go. All right, so now we're doing widthwise. We already kind of measured the bust level, and I know that's the one that you're most concerned about, Susie, right?
Yeah. Just,
Okay. But see,
just so,
but we have, the beauty of this is we have lines that are graded for us already to help us out. You know, we're not starting with just one pattern and grading it. So we already have our graded edges. So if we have to go out, it's not going to be a huge big deal. So we have the front piece, we have the side, and then we have the back, and I'm going to have to just move it around once I get up on here. Why isn't the center seam there?
because you have to sew,
Yep, there's a 1/2 inch seam allowance, but the other part of it is, let me show you. And this video will go out and you'll understand that even better. But we did go over this.
oh,
So,
I know, because there has to be that gap in between the
Oh.
lapels.
no, that's also another thing that we're keeping in mind, but the center of this garment is not at the seam allowance line. The center of this garment is where the button is sewn in. That's the center of the garment because there is an overlap at a placket, right? So just like when you're doing measuring, this is the 1/2 inch seam allowance inside so that we could sew this shape. And then we have the buttons going in, depending about how big your buttons are. This is a very large button. This is like almost an inch, 7/8 of an inch, but I would say at least 3/4 of an inch inside that portion is your center front. Okay? Because this is an overlap, the center of the garment is inside the middle part of that buttonhole. Make sense? Is that kind of making sense?
Yes,
It's an overlap, right?
that, we determine that line.
We determined that line,
Half inch.
but you need to make sure that it's correct. So I want to,
Mine's exactly a 1/2 inch in from the sew line.
yes, and I think it needs to be a little bit further in, frankly. So depending upon your buttons on this jacket, the least you would use is a 5/8 inch button. Normally you would be using a 3/4 of an inch button. I've used up to a 1 inch button, right, on my jacket. So it kind of depends on the button there most of the time, but there is room for that. So you want to go first a 1/2 inch. Not at the bust level, it's going to be more because that's where the lapel is. But underneath that bust level, okay, down, we went in about down from that bust level about 2.5 inches here. I'm going first in a 1/2 inch for my seam allowance, right? We gotta get rid of that seam allowance. Okay, so I got my 1/2 inch seam allowance. And then from there, I want to make sure I'm getting the 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way to the waist level because that is where the buttonhole actually sews in. So here on the waist level, I'm a half of an inch in, wherever your waist level is. And then from there, measure over another 3/4 of an inch. And that is your center of the garment, more or less. It'll open up at the bust, but it closes here at the waist, okay? So then I'm going to draw a lengthening line there to make that the center front. Let me do that in red.
Did we not do that last week?
We did, I think we need to go a little further out.
Okay, so I have,
At the waist level, half of an inch in, then 3/4 of an inch in. Draw a line straight perpendicular to that waistline.
okay, so, um, waistline, okay. So 1/2 inch in,
Why are we doing a half of an inch in first?
seam allowance.
Awesome. Then why are we doing the other?
So first it's seam allowance, and then it is,
To accommodate the button.
okay. Okay, after the,
Only at the waist. It will change at the bust, right? And it'll change at the other areas because the lapel opens, right? We talked about that. It's going to change in those areas.
okay, so how far after the 1/2 inch?
3/4. That making sense?
Yes. 3/4 is right. Yes, 3/4 an inch.
That's an inch. Okay, so the 3/4 is, yep. Those are, each one of those are 1/8 of an inch, Bethany. So two of them make 1/4, right?
Yes, so 3/4, yes. Okay, I got that.
Yeah.
And then the center
Nice.
front is 3/4 in from that.
Beautiful. Very good.
So this line would be our center front, or this line would be our center front?
The final line is your center front.
Okay.
More or less inside there, depending upon your button size, correct?
Yeah.
And this is our seam allowance.
The first one is seam allowance. Yes. Yes. And you guys were right about when we're measuring. So when I measure, I'm going to have to help you out with that because like you said, if you look at mine, if I pull this jacket on as if I was wearing it, it separates here at the lapel and then there's space, right? So the beauty of this pattern is that I know it's a really good pattern. So I'm not too worried if parts of it fit that it's going to be unifiedly good everywhere else. Unless there's a huge deformity in your actual figure type, like if you have very, your breasts are augmented and the rest of your body is really, really skinny, it's going to be a hard thing to adjust. Otherwise, you should be good, right? You guys all are natural and should be fine. Make sense?
Yes.
I watch the videos to make sure I have the bust line on the front right. Or on the back.
Okay,
Right.
okay, Susie, let me put this to rest. We raised it, we lowered it, or we raised it because I was afraid that the curvature of this pattern was too severe down here, that we were not going to get an accurate bust measurement. That's why we did that. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
We already measured yours over and over again. If anything, we can go out a line or two because we can always go in later in the adjusting of the muslin. That makes sense?
I,
Don't get
I,
caught up on this. This
okay,
pattern, it's not a block. It is a very concord shape. See this? Very concord. So if you're actually measuring just a little off here or here, you can get a totally different measurement. So it's almost impossible to do this accurately. This is just a guide. That's why I don't want to spend so much time on it because most of the measurements I had to be perfect here in my business because 90% of the time, these high profile clients were not in my presence. I never got to see them physically or measure them. I had to guesstimate on measurements that were given to me or maybe a picture. So this had to be perfect for me. For you guys, we have the ability, we see you, we're measuring you, we're going to make a mock-up, and we can make those tweaking measurements there. Because I am pretty knowledgeable about this and I've had so much experience, I can tell you right off the bat, go in or go out. That's not something you're going to be able to do on your own. It's going to take years. But what I want you to learn from this process is that generally you can find certain levels on the pattern, even a jacket, which is probably the most difficult one to measure most of the time, right? No one would be doing this. And also, guys, I'm writing this down for you, but when I was doing this in the business, this is the way I did it. And I think I might just put this into this video so you can see. I didn't put these lines in. I used my roadmaps were these notches, but you guys aren't experts yet. So I'm making you put these lines in. I use these notches as road marks. So I see this notch, right? Is a double notch that's going to fit into that. That's going to be a double notch to this. So what would I do? I would just take this. I would make sure I had my half of an inch in. I'd go boop. I'd find the closest part to that notch, boop. I'd find the closest part to that notch, boop. Fast, like that. That's the way it's done in the industry. These lines and these measurings are just to give you an idea of where your eye should follow. But when you start to get more of an expert, when you start to do this more and more, you're going to use these notches as your guides. You're going to use the one or two lines that are supplied to you by a pattern as your guides, and you're not going to have to go through the scientific project like this, right? Does that make sense? So this is just the beginning stages to get your eye to see where you need to start in the measuring process. So more or less between these two lines on the back, because it curves so severe that I was afraid we weren't going to get an accurate measurement. All right? Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
so now that we want to just quickly do the bust. So when we go up that high on the bust, it's going to go in too much. We're going to ignore it on the bust as much as possible. We're actually going to ignore it all the way to the half of an inch mark on the bust. We just need that for the waist measurement and possibly for our hip measurement. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, so we're just going to quickly do the bust measurement. So you have those cross marks. Just go ahead and measure on the line. Go up to the higher level line on the back because I think that's a little bit broader, right? There. Go ahead and go all the way across.
This is without seam allowance, right?
Without, of course, always without seam allowance. And then also keep in mind if your dart goes pretty high, you've got to avoid that dart. And then go all the way basically to the half of an inch seam allowance on the lapel of the bust level. Then go ahead and cross and double that for me. And see what you got. You have a number for me, Bethany?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay.
Okay.
I missed what you said on the far end of the,
We're not going to go to the center, Susie. We're going to go to the half of an inch seam allowance line at the bust. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you have?
At 22 and a quarter.
Did you double it?
I'll double it. Oh, I always half it. I double it. I have 44.
That doesn't sound right. That's not right.
You do it again.
Are you measuring inside the lines of the sewing lines?
I'm measuring from the cut line.
No, we don't measure, we never measure from the cut line. We measure from inside the garment. We're measuring the body as if it's already been sewn. We already
Okay,
put the 1/2 inch seam allowance in.
I got it. I did.
Okay, I got 38.
Yours is 38. And your bust was 36.
Uh, bust was 36, yes.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, I'm more like 40. 38.
Yeah, yours should be a little bit more than 38. Yours is probably closer to 39. What is your bust measurement, Susie?
38.
Yep. Your bust measurement was 38?
No, it's 37.
Your body measurement was 37?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm going to want you, Susie, to go to the next line over underneath your arm. Okay. So whatever your line is, get your highlighter now. I don't want any problems. And go ahead and highlight the next line over, which would be a smaller dotted line.
Okay. On all these pieces?
On all these pieces, please. Yeah. Only at the bust level, because we might go in at the waist or not. Okay.
Only at the bust level. Okay, so we're gonna true it. Okay. One level up, one line out.
I'm just curious. I think I just want to make sure. And you too. I mean, I think you're broad too, Susie, actually. Yeah, I think you can. I think you're broad. Do you know what your back width was, Susie?
Let me look.
Okay.
Seam to seam across back is 15 inches.
Okay.
Okay, I have what is this called?
That's the back level. Yeah, we might have to go out on that. I'm not gonna worry about that so much. Okay. All right, so we decided that you need more room on the bust, Susie, so we're gonna go out, write a note for that we did that, so we don't have to say you forgot that. And then we're gonna go waist now. We're just gonna check waist measurement. I don't want to cut these pieces out. Waist measurement here, wherever the waist level is, inside the seam allowance, all the way across. Pinch, pinch. Avoid the dart, of course. Are you watching? Avoid the dart. To that center front line. Double it.
Waistline.
Yeah. I think I'm going to want you to go down the whole. I think I want you to jump up a pattern size on most of that, Susie. Yeah, all the way down. Because that's only 33, and I think your waist was how much?
My waist is 31 and a half.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think it would be okay to go up another size for you. What about yours, Bethany?
I'm working on it. I got 13. Wait, so double it, it'd be 26.
I don't think yours is 26. Let's see.
I may have not I don't think I took out, wait, I don't think I took out the dart.
No, you made it too small. I don't know what you did.
Let me check again.
Let's try that again. Let's try that again. Should be at least 30 something. You have a new waist now, right? So where are you measuring? Get hers. Yours is not that big either, Susie. Yours is only 34 and a half.
Going in half, all right.
What is your waist measurement, Bethany?
Um, 29 and a half,
And what did you say you measured?
34.
I'm gonna want you to go into that smallest line there at the waist. Can you highlight that for me, please?
Highlight what?
Highlight the smallest line. So yours is the solid line, right?
Yes.
At the waist, go into the one that's closest inside,
Okay.
the smallest line at the waist. So we know we're gonna cut from there and then go, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, for my new one is 33 3/4.
So I'm
Yours is 34 and a half because I measured it for you, Susie. So, okay, you'll have to practice measuring later.
Okay, let me try again.
Um,
so I'm going to connect the
the black line to the dotted line inside. Yep. To, we're not going to do this line anymore. We're going to go into this line for the cutting line. You see that, Bethany?
Oh, I got 34 this time.
yes.
Okay. All right, on the back, we went in 1 3/4 for the vent. Right? We already drew that line, right? And we're doing the hip level to the seam allowance, hip level inside with the seam allowance,
Yeah,
level again, avoiding that dart, pinching, carrying it over to the other side to the center front of that line that was put in there. Can you see mine? We have the vent that's missing 1 3/4. I'm measuring on that line to my seam line, carrying it over to my seam line, carrying it over inside, avoiding that dart pinch, pinch to the other side of the dart, to the center line that we drew in from that waist area here. Okay, and I'm getting 40 for mine.
Okay.
Because we might go out on the hip, right, for you? So don't get too carried away. Just the
41,
waist. Yeah.
41 and a half.
Okay, that makes sense. And your hip is how much, Susie?
My hip, full hip is 38.
You said 41 and a half? Okay. So we basically are just gonna need it at the bust and back for you. So we're gonna have to go back to your original line on the bottom, okay?
On the bottom. On the
Yeah.
bottom.
I don't think you need too much on
Oh,
the bottom.
okay.
So what's your line? Your line is right next to mine, so you're gonna go back to the original line there.
4 in, 4 up, bottom.
Okay.
So the only thing I manipulate or change a little is the bust level.
I think we're gonna need it at your bust and your
Yeah.
back. You know what I'm saying? This is a tight jacket, especially in the back. Bethany might need to pull it out in the back as well. It's pretty narrow there, okay?
Right here where we gave some more space for the bust. So
And
I
you're
take
gonna,
the original yellow line and merge it to the red.
yes, Bethany, let's see yours.
I have 43 and a half for hip.
Your full hip is how much?
36.
Okay. Okay, so 36. Let's see what yours is. I'm gonna measure yours real quick. One should be. I'm using the wrong side of the ruler here for you. Yeah, we're going in on yours, right? Did you take out that 1 3/4 on the placket, Bethany?
On the what?
This vent.
Did I take it? Oh,
No, you did not.
no. So take that out too. Okay, so we have how far? Oh yeah, I didn't. Okay.
Let's see if I took out anything here.
I got 42.
You still won't get that measurement, so I'm not really sure. Did you take out for the center front and your dart?
I took out my dart.
And the center front line stops here, right? See mine?
Okay. The for the back part.
No,
For,
for the front, the center front.
yes, I know. I'm saying for the back.
Yes,
How much do I need to take out for the back?
one
It's
and three, 1 3/4.
one.
39, 39.
That's what I got.
There should be about 39 and a half, was yours measure, so. You said you have a 37, 38, 39. Then you're fine, you're fine. All the way, what did you say your shoulder length was? Because this is not gonna hit you, you're not gonna understand that.
Me?
Yeah,
Um,
Mine is 5 inches.
shoulder like this from shoulder to where?
to your, where the sleeve sews in.
Oh, 4.5, 4.5.
You said you were pretty broad there. You have problems with, things fitting you?
Yeah, my arms.
Your arms, okay, but how about the shoulder,
Well, it's like the whole area.
the whole area? We might go out to the next line, that little dotted line at the shoulder. So go ahead and put a highlighter there for you. Do you have that same problem, Susie?
My shoulder length is, um, 5 inches is what we measured.
Right.
And then,
But I'm asking you just in general when you're buying clothes. Do you have trouble with it fitting your shoulder?
no,
Okay. Armholes are big enough for you usually?
they tend to be.
Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and get to the sleeve real quick. And then we can go ahead and cut this out after the break. I guess we're gonna have to cut it out. And we did the length, we're good with the length, everybody's great with the length. So now the only thing is that we're concerned about is the bicep, right? Um, So find your line, half of an inch in on both sides of that bicep line. That's pretty high up there, and it goes all the way to the other side, right? We already did that bicep line. So we
So
want,
we have
so
one
we want to measure now, just to make sure that's enough width there for you guys.
and a half inch.
So inside on that bicep line here, watching me. You want to watch me first. You got it? You got that? You got your bicep line? Yep, you got it. And then across. If we're extending your width on your bodice or the jacket, you have to go out on the outer length for the sleeve. Otherwise, it will not fit into the jacket. Does that make sense?
Mm, Nope.
Whatever lines, everything goes together, right? All these pieces have to sew in two pieces. You can't just make a change here and avoid it here. Whatever you do there has to reflect here. So if you're going to go out here on the width, it's going to make your armhole bigger. So that means your sleeve is going to have to get bigger. Make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. I overlapped here. The only thing that we worried about was the stomach. That was the only other part of the stomach, but I think we're going to be okay with the stomach. I'm not going to worry so much. I might want you to go out all the way because, you're a protruding stomach, Susie, and I also have a nice stomach there as well. So I may have you go to the larger line. Once you've established wherever your line is, okay, so my line is this little dotted line right next to the solid line. If I needed more width here, we already opened it up here because we dropped the bust. So now the dart isn't being sewn so high up. So it's already given us extra there. But I'm going to show you that I'm going to be cutting on my line. So whatever your lines are, then before we cut, I want you to go ahead and do the full length with the highlighter before we even cut, all right, Bethany? So if your line starts here and I told you to go in here or go out here, draw the highlight on your actual full line on your piece. Can you do that? What did I tell you to do on that?
Are you talking to me or Bethany?
Bethany?
Yes. So I'm going to grab a highlighter and I'm going to connect my
Yes,
solid thing to go into the waist and then come out.
yes, yes, yes. I'm not even sure if you're going to need all that on the hip.
So just go down, just go into the weight, into the
Yeah, what
small.
did you say your hip was again? Your body hip was 37? Your fullest part of your butt, where your butt is, the fullest part of your bottom.
36.
36. Okay. Uh-huh. Yeah, you might be able to go all the way down on that from the waist, actually, Bethany. Thirty-six or 7:30. Yeah, I would go all the way down, Bethany. Go to
Okay.
the smallest line all the way down from your waist, okay? On all three pieces, keep it at the bust up there, okay? Your normal dark line at the top, okay?
Yes.
And then go in. Okay, Susie, what did we say for you? We wanted it to be wider here at the bust level.
Right.
So
Yeah,
we're going to the next one over from you, okay? That
on the top, under
on the
the,
top. And
okay,
then we still need it at the waist, I believe, right? So you're going to carry that line all the way down to that wider line at the waist, possibly.
okay.
And you said, what was your hip again? Your fullest hip?
Full hip, 38.
38. Okay. Let me just check yours real quick. Because I hate, because let's get yours at the, here. Here. Let's try that. No, I think you're gonna be fine, actually. So maybe not go too full, you don't like it too full out there, do you? In the hip, you want it to kind of be like a European fit more? You know,
Sure.
European clothes? Yeah, I would go back in to your regular line on the bottom.
Right at the hip level?
Okay, so here at the bust, watch mine. I'll just make another color here. We're gonna be, here's the dot solid line. This next one is mine. The next one after that was the one that you were originally using. But we're
Yeah,
telling you to go out here instead.
yep.
But we're gonna go with that same line all the way down. Here, we need it here at the bust. I think we might still possibly need it at the waist, okay,
Mhm.
at that line. And then when you get here at the hip, then you start to graduate back down to your original line. Does that make
When,
sense?
yeah, you meant from the waist down.
From the waist down. Yep,
Okay, so I'm gonna, here we
from the
go.
waist down.
Do I need to do the waist on the side jacket?
Yes, you have to follow your line
On the side too, on all the pieces?
on all pieces. Yes, all pieces.
So I'm at the waist and I
Yes,
merge, I merge into my original line at the hip level.
yes. If you did that one already, right, that first one there, go ahead and cut that line out for me. Can you do that?
Right.
So we don't make that mistake again. Cut on that, on your proper line, on the front jacket, okay? Side seam. You're gonna get more of a European fit, Susie, with that. I can see it's gonna be nice. Okay. Uh, yep. Okay. Now, second piece, so we can cut that out too, okay? Okay, so what did we say on the second piece?
Are we on the jacket back or the side?
Side back. See my side back here, guys?
Okay, got it.
Okay, so that one, we said you're going to your original line on the bottom right, Susie? And then here underneath the arm, you're gonna have to go out to that little broader line, correct? So just cut out that line as well. Can I see yours, Bethany, you got it?
Yes, I have it. So it starts on the dark line,
Yes.
solid line, and it goes out into the little one inside.
Okay, go ahead and do that for that side, the one that's underneath the arm side first. Just cut that line first. It's so minor, Susie, but try to go everything, the original line on the bottom, right?
Okay,
And try to go just slightly to the next line. It's very, very close
right towards the top.
towards the top, yes.
All
Want
right.
the armhole to be nice for you. It's only it's very, very close with the grading, because when you're grading three pieces, very little is going to be put into that piece. Yeah.
Okay, that's done.
Okay, and then here on the other side of that pattern piece, okay, whatever we do here has to coincide with this guy. So I can't just decide I'm going to do this and then not do it here, right? Whatever we decide to do here has to work here. So I'm going to say with Bethany, stay in the, do the same thing, okay? You have it smaller, right? You had smaller on the bottom, Bethany, right? And then you went back to your black line here. The same here, Bethany, smaller. Can you see mine? And then back out to your regular black line there. Make sense? And then Susie, we are going smaller. We're going to your regular line on the bottom, right?
Okay.
At the waist, try to squeeze out to that wider one. Okay, because we might need it around your waist.
Yeah, let me,
And if you want to mark it, that's fine.
was it two in? I can't remember now.
Just mark it where the level is. Where's your waist level?
Here, I'm just trying to decide which line I'm going to. Yeah, I remember.
Okay. Oh yeah, yours. Yes. Do you have the little cheat sheet paper where it shows you the lines and the sizes?
Yeah. Oh, okay. On the other
Get your
one,
cheat sheet out. Have that next to you guys.
right here,
Okay.
size
So
10.
your size is. I have mine highlighted as 6. Yours was highlighted in 8, correct?
Yes, so
Bethany was highlighted at 4. So if you're following the 10 line, make sure you see what that line gradation is and look for that.
okay.
Okay? And I'm just cutting on the dotted line. That is for my size. So this piece is cut completely. And we're going to do this other part here too, because this coincides with this.
The same thing, I start from the bottom and merge to the new larger size around the bust level.
Your room that you needed extra was in the bust level, so you're only going to graduate up to the larger line at the bust level and the underneath the arm, right? The
Yes.
armhole.
Yep, got it.
Yep.
Okay, I got both things cut out. All three things cut out.
All 3 things are cut out. Awesome. You guys have that? Let me see yours. I'm gonna check each one and then we'll take a break, okay? Camera, just put it down.
Solid black line,
Yes,
fade into the other one.
the one that's inside. Okay. Like that. And then I'm going into the same line. Follow my line here. Follow my line all the way up the back. All the way up to past the neck, just straight up like that. Yes?
I'm doing it.
Can you do that?
Okay.
Black line, awesome. Okay. I see the other pieces too, Bethany. Could I see real quick while I'm waiting for Susie? Black line, okay. Yeah, okay. And Susie, let's see you. Okay, nice. All right, guys. Let's break for lunch. Yeah,
Yes.
okay. See you 1:36. We didn't do that, so I put those 3 pieces aside real quick. And we got the facing. And as it stands right now, we're not going to change the shoulder or the neckline on anybody. So go ahead and cut this entire pattern piece on your main line, okay? Whatever your original line is. All right?
Already cut that one out.
You ready to cut that whole thing out?
Yes.
Okay. Susie, you're getting it?
Cutting.
Okay. Is some of this stuff making sense or sinking in a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. A little less intimidating, Susie?
Yeah, I'm good.
Here on the, so cut across though first.
Okay.
First cut that, don't cut the armhole yet, just cut across on your proper line on the shoulder, please. Got it?
Both of us?
Shoulder, cutting that, just the shoulder.
For both of us.
Yep, just the shoulder.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay, so now this is where it gets a little tricky. Okay, listen, I'm Bethany. I don't want you to go on the black line. Can you see mine? Is it clear enough?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't want you to go on the black line. I want you to go on the line next to it here, just for the width of the shoulder.
Okay.
And then go to your black line as you get down there.
Okay. Would it help if I used a ruler?
You would have to use a curved ruler for that.
Yes.
You would have to use your French curve. Where's your French curve? You have one of those I
Yes.
don't want to go out to, you have to be careful that it doesn't stick out. It's got to be straight up and down. It has to be perpendicular at the edge. See here at the edge?
Mm-hmm.
Got to be perpendicular or it's going to not be good. So you can't make that go like with a point, no point.
Yeah.
It's going to be, yep, perpendicular.
Okay.
Right? And then Susie, we are going, because your armhole was bigger, right? We're going to go to the next line over for your armhole. And I would go ahead and use that next line all the way up to the shoulder. Okay,
Oh,
you got it?
okay. Same, just
Okay.
follow. I'm gonna draw mine first, just to be sure.
So, yeah, so this is my line, right? And this is your normal line. So the next line over, you're just gonna follow that line all the way. I don't think you're broad there, so that's gonna be an issue. We might need to go in. So I would use your line all the way over here. I don't think you're broad there. I'm not gonna so I'm drawing your line right now. If you can see my picture. I've got it. I've got the green going boom, 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 boom. And then I think when we get to the top, go back to your original line. There. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That makes sense? Because I don't think you're that broad there. You just need it on the width of the jacket. Okay? You guys have that? I can cut mine out?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah?
Okay.
And then we didn't change our neckline or our lapel in any way, so go ahead and cut on your proper original line for the neckline and the rest of that lapel on that front piece. All the way down to the curve of the hem. I don't want to cut my cord here. Remember the proper line at the center, okay? If you have to put an extension on those lines because of your waistline, Bethany, make sure you have a good line, okay?
Okay.
And then just go to your mitered edge, your line on your diagram, and then copy it on your pattern.
Just simply the 10 line, okay.
For you, the 10 line.
All right, I'm just looking for my piece.
Are we doing the back too?
Okay, yeah, we'll do the back next. I just want to make sure Susie's got it. You got it, Susie? You got it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Then on Bethany, that center back, you can go on your black line or your 6, not size 6. I mean, your size 4, sorry, your size 4.
Should I do the shoulder too?
Yeah, oh, yes. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yes, you're going out
And
on the shoulder. So you have, that has to match this, right? So if you went out on the next one over for the shoulder, you're going to have to go to that next one over here. You're going to have to go to the 8.
okay, and can I cut out the neck too?
Cut out the next at the regular black line, cut out
Yes.
your shoulder at the regular black line, but make sure you go out that.
Onto the next line. Okay.
Yep, you got that?
Yes.
Okay. We're going the same as our size. The shoulder, I mean, yeah, is the same as our size. It's the armhole that's changing on some of us. Yeah. So we got all those pieces like that. Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so the hem, because we made the adjustments on the pattern itself, we don't have to really worry about this. So let's go ahead and cut our hem at the exact original size. So
Yeah.
Bethany, the 4, Susie, you're the 8, okay? On all 3 pieces.
On the bottom.
On the bottom. So we got all these pieces cut out now, totally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. When you get all those pieces cut out, put it aside and bring the 2 sleeves back in. So we didn't make any adjustments on the bust for you or underneath the arms, Bethany, correct?
No.
And we already lengthened everything as it should be, right?
Yes.
So you can go ahead and cut these 2 pieces exactly on the black line. You're the size 4, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now Susie,
Oh, yeah.
yep, I'm going to turn this around because this gets tricky here for you. Added here for underneath the for the width of the jacket. So underneath the arm here, we went out. So we're going to have to widen that. So we went out to the biggest, might be too big. You might regret this, but I'm just trying to give you as much. But so you're going to have to follow the size 10, on the top part of these 2-part sleeves, okay? So you find the size 10, not on the cap so much. Well, yeah, the cap, you would have to do that too. Yeah, which is going to make it longer as well. Ba, 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 ba. I think I want you to not do it on the cap. Okay, so I want you to find the size 10 line here on the side of this main jacket sleeve. See the main jacket sleeve here?
Yeah.
Find the size 10 mark and highlight that on that side. Find the size 10 on this side, okay? As well as this side, and as well as this side, okay? Like that.
As well
I
as the,
highlighted mine, can you see it?
yeah, just looking at the inside. Both sides of the large piece.
And both sides of the second piece,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah,
I don't really want you to have a bigger cap. So I'm going to ask you to go here where it needs to be, and then go into the next, your size 8 here. Okay? See how I did that? It might give us some trouble, but I'm gonna see if we can true that properly.
Am I gonna cut this top part too?
The cap,
Yes.
yes, all of that on your line. Okay, did you do that? Where's the other piece?
Right here.
Yes,
Okay, hold on, my glasses
you want
on.
to do it the highlighted side
On, right
on the
here,
width? We're making the highlighted side on the width only. That's it. So there, yep, highlighted side. You're going out. It might be
Yes.
too wide.
yeah, I took it out to the size 10,
Okay,
right here. Is that right?
yes.
All the way down?
Now, we might go in when we true it, but go ahead and go out first to the size 10 on the width. Yep, and then go back to your regular line around the curve. You can go ahead and get the length and the right number too on the jacket, sleeve, and all the way around the sleeve, pocket, etc. Find your line all the way around. So, did you guys read my directions on the website?
For sewing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have videos too that I sent you, but the sewing directions, I'm gonna ask, any questions on that, because we gotta have this sewn for next week, all right?
Okay.
Okay. Out.
Okay. Make sure the cap is the right size. Susie too, yeah. You pick your right size for the cap. We wanted to go back to your original size on the cap. So you're only doing an 8 on the cap, right, Susie?
Yep.
Okay, good.
I'm merging up and around. Let me just be sure.
Only making the width wider. I didn't want the cap to be wide. I don't think we need it. Let's see.
I'm just merging around the corners and then back up to my size around the cap.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
8, and I made it 8 all the way down the sides.
Yep. Okay, so these other pieces, since we did not change the neckline, we did not change the neckline, thank God. We don't have to change the collar. We don't have to change the facing. So pick your original line for the pocket and the facing and your upper and lower collar. And go ahead and cut on those lines. Okay?
Okay.
So yours will be an 8 on those other ones, Susie?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, I have a video going out Monday. It'll explain these pattern pieces again, and I want you to watch it. And when you watch my videos, guys, comment on them and like them, because that gets the conversation going where other people will have a conversation. I just say, hey, I got it, saw it. This is, you know what I mean? That's helpful for everybody. And that also lets me know that you saw it. How about that? Yeah?
We'll try it.
Okay. So inside of that neckline where the facing is, we're gonna do that, your original line. Has anybody ever sewn a jacket before?
Nope.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Gonna be fun. Oh, God, help us all.
Never done a lapel one.
Well, yeah, but you're not gonna have to do all the binding unless you wanna have it, I mean, don't do all that binding now, but you will have to put the collar together so we can, and the front facing in and etc. And the hem. I'll show you what you have to do because otherwise we can't get a proper measurement. Okay, we're gonna do the truing process, and this is where we're gonna spot any problems with the notches and stuff. This is the only way you can spot where the notches are going straight to, and since you're opening up your armhole, it's gonna be tricky on yours as well. So we didn't change, like I said, the neckline yet, so go ahead and take the collar out of the way, the facing out of the way, the pocket out of the way, and the sleeve out of the way for a minute, and the front facing out of the way. We're going to start with the front jacket and the side, okay? And truing is the process of walking each pattern piece against the adjoining piece, side seam, front, sleeve, armholes, and checking the notches, the shapes, the curves to make sure everything is smooth and everything matches and everything lines up, okay? Now, like I said, this armhole and underneath the arm is pretty tricky. So this extra little bit here is going to look like, oh, the pattern is wrong, but it does extend. The first thing we're going to do in order to do that is we're going to have to put the first two notches in. So Bethany, yours is easy. It's the two black lines, right? Go ahead and put those two lines in. So find your notch color of your original one and put those double notches on the side of this pattern like that. They're double notch. They're pretty close together, anywhere from 3/8, sometimes half, quarter, like that. Go ahead and put those two notches in like that. Okay?
Mm-hmm. And the same thing on the other side?
Just that one right now.
Okay.
Okay? And this is
Side
what we
front.
do. Then I'm going to take this pattern piece, and if I turn this guy over, okay,
Oh,
I have this here. Now watch what I'm. This is where you're going to have to be mindful and eye, because we don't have time for you to draw the whole 1/2 of an inch, okay? But you've got an eye what a 1/2 of an inch is here. You can put every once in a while, you can put like a little line, little slivers like this to get the hang of it. And then we know that I don't want to put the notches in here yet because we might have to go in for Susie, and I think that'll confuse you. So I'm just going to go ahead 1/2 of an inch this way and 1/2 of an inch this way on that pattern piece. So why I'm doing that is because I have to get the intersection. I have to know where this pattern piece starts for my walking of this process. So then I take that and I find it on the pattern itself. So it's a little tricky because this is 1/2 of an inch here on the pattern and 1/2 of an inch here on the pattern. I'm folding this back so I can find where that intersection is, like that. Putting my pencil like this, and then I'm walking. See this shape? This has a weird shape, but this does not have a weird shape. So I have to take my pencil and literally every 1/2 of an inch move the pattern and to the curve of that other pattern piece like that. And as I'm doing that, I'm checking to see walking.
what shape?
I'm just putting my pencil where the stitching line would be
All the way down.
sure that I have it exactly like it should be. Okay, I have here, I'm a little hair off. I'm going to recheck it, but if I'm right, that little hair has to come off. And then I'm also checking to see if these little pencil marks are exactly where the notches should be, and they are. So they are correct. I'm immediately see that if they're correct, I'm going to put them in. Boom, boom, like that. And then I'm taking out this little tiny bit that seems to not, should not be there, just to make that perfect. That's it. That's the first seam.
And then I'm a hair off, so I'll cut.
If you're a hair off on the bottom, just cut that little hair off, yep. Just so,
All the way across or just that tiny bit? Okay.
to nothing, I mean, not all the way across, just a little bit from where that hair is hanging out. And then graduate from that line. We're not gonna be, like I said, we can't, we're not making this perfect now, because if your muslin is off, we're redoing this. So we're just getting these notches to line up and make sure everything is fitting properly, because we're gonna cut and sew this. When you're doing the final pattern, then everything has to be extremely precise, but we're not there. Okay. So when you're making pattern making, when you're designing, I was a sample maker, first pattern maker, all the way up to production pattern maker. Okay. So in other words, I did the first rough muslin, the first rough pattern, first fitting, we do a revision on the pattern. And then when you're considered a production pattern maker pattern, then that pattern has to be redone again or corrected to be ready for production. So there's different levels of pattern making as well. Okay, so now we're gonna check that second panel piece, okay? And this
Yeah,
is the one where we thought there was an extra notch or something. Okay, this is the part that's a little tricky. So it's a
okay, I'm a little bit off. I'm like half an inch off.
I'm not sure that should be happening. Let's see. Let me check you. Okay, show me. Half an inch. Okay, it could be where you have placed it underneath the arm properly. Let me see how you place it underneath the arm.
Can you see it?
Um, turn it back. Turn back, fold that back. No, no.
Oh, fold like this.
Yeah, just so I can see what's going on underneath that part. And are those intersections start happening? No, it should be down further, Bethany, a little bit further down. Yep, like there. Yep. Now check your notch and see where it is, okay? Does that notch line up with your black notches now?
It's a little bit off.
Line it up where it should be. I'm curious. Because nothing else changed. So those notches should match, because that was the original size. Those should be good. Is it okay there?
Um, you see, I don't know if you can see it.
If you line up those notches, let's see what the hem looks like.
Okay.
Go ahead from those notch points to the hem. Let's see. Make those notches line up and then see how it works on the hem.
It's still a little bit off.
It's a little bit off. Well, that could have been because because you also lengthened your whole jacket. Forgot about that. So you could have been off in that process. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So then, can't flip it around for me so I can see the inside. Yeah. Towards the camera. Yeah, there you go. I'm just curious.
So it lines up, supposed to line up like that. So that would be where it's supposed to be. There.
No, no, they're higher. Yep. Boom. The black and the black. You got the black and the black.
Uh-huh.
Okay, then I think it's okay. Now flip that back. That's right on top. That's good. So what
Okay.
happened is whatever your extension was messed up. So
Okay.
let me see. You walked it from that notch to here. You got to walk it straight on the pattern. Yep, you got it. Yeah, very good. Nice technique there. Good. Walk. Yep. Yep. How far are you on the bottom? Oh, half
Uh,
is a lot.
Now it's more like, no, now it's pretty. Yeah,
Let's
it's on.
see.
It's good.
It's good? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, Susie, let's see yours. How'd you do? You walked well? I think
Yeah.
that,
So I put my notches in?
yes, on the other one, yes. So you
Okay.
didn't forget. So now you need to follow those notches and not all the other scribbly lines that are going to confuse you, right? That
Yeah.
needs to go up a little bit further up, Susie, underneath the arm. That
Is
piece,
that
just a little slightly up.
like
Not,
this?
not a lot, but it needs to go up a little higher there. I think probably around there. Yep. Now
Oh,
try walking it. Now trying to see what you got.
a mess.
Yeah. Why? We didn't lengthen yours, right?
Oh, it's because I notched this. I could re-notch it. Yes.
You have to cover up any notches that you notched already if it's off. That's why I didn't want to add any notches except for the most necessity ones right now till we're good.
So,
So you might have to, put paper underneath the other one that you already cut if you did cut a notch underneath.
okay, I'll do this.
As long as we want the length and the main notches to line up. And now that you have that technique, you can try that on the back piece.
I think it
It
was
was
okay.
good. Okay. And then you have to put the right notch in, please, at the other piece that you,
Yeah, I'm gonna do that right now.
yeah, okay. Same technique, Bethany. You need to notch one side and then we're gonna check it with the other side. So go ahead and find your double notch on your, but this was the one that we were concerned about. Let me make sure.
Back.
This is the center back with the side back. So I want to put the notches on the center back piece because it's the side back that we were kind of confused.
Okay.
So the center back piece, find your notch and put those two in. There's two there, and then there was one a little bit lower, right? We're going to put the two notches and the one notch on the center back piece to walk the other pattern piece, right? So this piece here, the one with the dart on the shoulder. Okay, so guys, I think the notches are good. I think it's just that this is such a weird thing this is a weird thing underneath the jacket. You're gonna think, oh, it's wrong, but trust me, it's the mitering of the pieces that look weird. So if you guys did all your extensions right, start from the bottom this time and go and walk that pattern. You can walk it with your fingers or whatever, and it's lining up with that notch really good, and it's lining up with these guys really good because we were worried about that last week. Okay, so then when you curve, watch what I'm doing. When I'm curving around, I'm just using my finger at this point because I'm just move, 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 move. It looks like there's a lot here extending. If we have to, we can clip some of that off. Because I want to make sure that when you go from the bottom, that those notches, those three notches are lining up good. Can you check that, please? Then we can just trim off that excess on the top if we have to.
Mine are pretty good.
On the bottom, the three are good, yeah.
And there at the top, there's
The top is, how's the top? It's
about a half inch off.
it's up, right? Yeah. I think that, I'm just gonna put these guys in because they're good. I think that makes more sense when it's sewn, so I don't want to take too much off of it. But you can snip a little bit of that off, like I'm gonna, like, the different, in between the difference. I forgot how to say that properly. Uh, so I have these two guys here, if you watch what I'm doing, yeah. These are matching up, and then I'm walking, 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 and I'm gonna just snip a little bit of that off, okay? On the top. You can do that on yours. And make sure those line up good.
So just a tiny bit of it.
Yeah,
Half.
and you're understand, this is where it gets really tricky. If you look at this pattern piece and I go in a half of an inch, you can see it better on the wrong size. I go in a half inch this way and I go in a half of an inch this way. It really is right, and I'll show you why.
Uh-oh, should I put it back?
You go in a half, no, yeah, half inch both ways. If you see where it ends up, if I go like this, I probably shouldn't have cut that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
put me back, put me back.
Because then what happens is it's going to turn like this. You don't want to cut too much of that off. It might be hard with the sewing.
I'm gonna put mine back.
Okay, so boom, 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 because it sews like this and then it sews like this. And so it's right there, but you're going to be pretty precise.
Maybe I'll just leave mine and then when I,
Just take a tiny bit off. If it's like a half of an inch or more, take like a quarter of an inch off because that tail might confuse you. I want you to follow notches. So at this point, when you're sewing it together, start from the bottom to make sure that that all fits because whatever's cut there, we can just trim off that piece. Yeah?
mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so that's good. So yeah, those are good. Okay. Now it gets even trickier because now we're dealing with the sleeve.
Right here.
Right, but before we do that, we need the shoulder. We're gonna match that shoulder. Some people have changed that shoulder, Susie. All right, let me show you. So the first thing you need to do is find your proper notch for the dart. Bethany as well, find your black line, center back piece. The dart on the shoulder, we're putting the dart and the shoulder in. Have to have that in or we can't walk it. Susie, you need to put in the size 10 line for you because we added to your shoulder. Got it? Yes.
And I do size 10.
You do a size 10. Susie, Bethany, you're a 4, and I am on the 6, believe it or not. And this you can go ahead and put. I'll show you how to walk it properly.
Oh, okay.
You see mine?
Yeah. Okay, so then you flip this over. I'm putting it the smaller side without the dart on top of the one with the dart. I'm letting it kiss at the neckline. Got my pencil, boom, 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 all the way till I get to that dart here, like that. I've got that mark. I can put a little cross mark. Then I'm going to move it over to the other side like that. And then I'm going to check the rest of that shoulder line to make sure it all matches up. And it should. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
It? Oh.
Well, right?
Okay, unless you want to do it that way, that's fine. Okay. Okay. And then it fits?
From end to end.
Yes. Bethany, did we make yours wider? I think we made yours wider.
A little bit, the edges.
Yes, okay, we need that's important because you have a broader shoulder. So we need that. We don't want to trim that too much
I'm about an eighth off on the armhole side.
on the armhole side.
Does this look right to
Then
you?
go ahead and trim that then, please.
Just trim the armhole, just, okay, miter it or merge it.
No, trim it so it matches. Unless it's, how off is it?
An eighth, it looks like an eighth.
Oh, that's
Can you-
fine. You can trim
Right
that.
here.
If it's more than an eighth, then we have to do, other stuff, but
Can you
that's
see it? Can you see it just to be sure? Ugh, darn
okay.
it.
Yeah.
Right here.
Let me see how you have it placed on the neckline, please.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I started from,
you closed the dart exactly where it needs to be, huh? Well, we played with all those lines on the out, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's off. So go ahead and trim it.
okay.
Yeah. Except we're not designing my pattern. And here, I don't want to speak too soon, but it should be good because I really check these before I release them. Cross fingers, right? So that side, I'm going to go ahead and put it on top of this guy here. And I'm just going to check the bottom first. You guys lengthen and shorten. I did too, actually, technically. So that goes there. I'm just starting from the bottom because we lengthened and shortened. I shortened mine actually, guys. So I'm just gonna curve, 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 half inch, move that pattern around, boom, boom, boom. And
I think mine is good.
this one is the one that's missing, I guess, the second notch. This is the one that's missing the second notch, see?
Yeah, okay, so mine looks, I think,
Okay, so this one I'm gonna fill in that hole, fill in my double notch because it's missing it. Then I'm gonna continue to walk that pattern. And it looks good up here as well. Very nice. Okay. So just go ahead and put the other notches in because I think that was that was the only one that was missing one
Yeah.
notch, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only
that part
one.
up.
Yeah, so then that one goes there. So now we're gonna work on the cap and then we're gonna get this thing to sleep, to walk in. Okay, so now we got that side. We gotta do the other side. Okay, there's only, you have a mitered area there. And you have, I like to do it on the more curved pattern. I like to go ahead and put the notch in on that one first. Flip that guy over. Top of the mitering has to be right, so you can check that.
Notch which side?
Oh,
I
boy.
notched the one that's more curved, like this smaller guy. I notched that one.
Okay.
It's easier to walk that pattern on top than it is on the bottom on a situation like that. And I'm going to start from the top on this one to make sure that it's fitting. I'm just checking. And then boom. Oh, I want you to see it. Checking, checking, checking. I want to see that my pattern is good here. That notch is good here.
Where do we start from? Just from the very edge.
On the top. Just start from the top on yours.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
Mine is good.
When you get to the miter, what do you do?
they have to just be at the same level.
They are perfectly.
Okay, then we're good. Just make sure you fill in that other notch and go ahead and put it in.
But
Okay,
it looks like
yeah,
well, no, the bottoms are good too.
okay. Okay. Okay, so then that notch goes in here, yep. And then now you can put that cap notch in. And so that center part of the sleeve is the cap notch or the center. But on a jacket, we play with that center. Sometimes we move that center to the back or to the front because on a jacket, you want the sleeve to go slightly forward, and I'll show you that in the sewing process. So right now we're putting that in exactly where it belongs, but we're going to play with it if we have to in the sewing process. Now you have to find your one notch here on the right side of that, the front side of your sleeve. And then on the second piece is the back part of that notch. So you got to find your double notch on your proper, Bethany, yours will be black. Susie, yours will be probably the bigger size, so yours will be the 10. Can you find the 10?
Okay.
Because we expanded that, right? Now we gotta walk this real quick because we gotta get to that. But this is very good to walk.
You have the back piece below it? Oh, the jacket front or back?
So I've got the jacket front and I've got the main sleeve pattern upside down on the back, I mean, back side up. I'm going to go ahead and put my shoulder notches in here because I won't know where the center is otherwise, right? And I'm going to put in my 2 notches here.
Which ones I can't see?
I'll show you. Oop, is it off? So this is the front part of the jacket. I'm just putting the shoulder notches here,
Okay.
okay? And then I have that center notch
And am I a size 8 there? Yeah,
No, yeah, well, you gotta, it's not a size.
on the
You're
corner.
measuring from the raw edge, a half of an inch in and a half of an inch down.
Got it.
We're getting seam allowance, right? Okay, now I'm just going to, this is the way you walk the sleeve. Okay, so now I have my intersection here. I'm taking the center of my sleeve, which goes here. And then I'm going to walk, walk all the way around till that lines up, and it lines up beautifully. Okay, right there. That notch is. Yeah. It shouldn't line up beautifully. It actually should be some ease, but we'll worry about that in a minute. And then I'm gonna walk. It's not going to match the side seam because why? Does anybody remember from last week? I know it's tough to remember that. But remember how the jacket seams do not match the jacket, the sleeve seams do not match the jacket seams. Remember we talked about that last week? We don't know exactly why, but it's been that way forever, right? That's just how it's done. So this will be shy, but I just want to make sure that that part matches up. Exactly. Okay, so we're just checking here, the main sleeve to check this notch here on the jacket. And I walked it, they're perpendicular because I'm walking this pattern in a circular motion. Can you see here? Boom. And I'm walking like that. And it lines up beautifully. And then sometimes when we do patterns too, we'll just hold it up and notch so that they're exactly what they need to be.
Yeah.
This notch,
Let me try again.
you know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
I'm curious what's going on there. I'm a little curious.
Okay, so this goes here.
Yes. Yes. It should be a little off anyway. There should be ease.
Okay, wait, I think this time it's working.
Yeah, there should be a little tiny off because there's ease. No, it's good.
Yeah,
It's good.
it's a little bit under.
Okay. So, yes. So where that notch is on the garment is perfect. Do it there. Do not do it here. No, don't do that. Take your pen, take the paper off. So notch exactly there. That's the proper place because you're going to be easing that jacket sleeve into here.
Okay.
This cap has to be eased, guys. It shouldn't be exact. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But we can ease it a different way. So that's why I wasn't sure if some of them were exact. In your notch there, we're not going to worry about it. So the double notch here, go ahead and put it in. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm sure you're going to have a problem with the sleeve no matter what, but I'm hoping you won't. Okay. All right. So we got all those notches in there. And and then now we have,
So all the notches, so these three.
yeah, put the double notch on those two pieces.
Okay, the top ones too?
Top ones, where's the top? What do you mean by top ones? Just those two. Yeah.
Oh,
Those,
just those two, not these two?
what? Yeah, no, those I thought you did already. Yeah.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I haven't done these.
I thought you did that already. We already passed that. Okay. So here is the back collar facing. I know it's a long day. Go move. No, this is not your. Excuse me. Can I help you? Can I help you? Go and play. Okay. All right. So, this is the facing. There's that notch in the center. Go ahead and put that in. Just that notch there. That's the center, right? And then on this is the pocket. Just so you guys know, this is the fold line. You can put a notch there if you want. We're not gonna put the pocket in right now, but just so you know, if you want it right there, so when you make this, you don't like what's going on. This is the fold line. Back a half of an inch, boom, boom, right? To make your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just so you know.
Do I notch these too?
Um, you can, but that's half inch. You just have to know that's all half inch.
Okay.
I just don't want to put too many notches if you're not going to if you might have to have some changes, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Oh.
yeah, but that's okay. Maybe you should. Okay, so then the other part that's really important is you have to find your proper line, very important for this, for the collar. Okay, so this is the center of the collar. You got to put that guy in. That's the center, okay? Then you have to find your notch on the inside part, your proper color. We didn't change that on your neckline, Susie, so go ahead and use your size 8. Okay?
I'm sure, oopsie.
So you have the center, you have your size, boom, boom, like that. Okay? This other thing. Okay, so I want to see if I can pull up because okay, cutting each one of these pieces. You're following the grain. You know how to cut, right? You follow
Mm-hmm.
the grain equal to the salvage. You're gonna this pattern piece, you don't have to cut each piece separately. Unless you know, you have trouble cutting, but you can cut either singly or you can double the fabric and cut, unless you want to cut it singly to get it to be very accurate. I know Susie likes to do everything really pretty accurately, but you have to just make sure that you have this grain line parallel to your salvage. You guys know what the salvage is, right? On the fabric?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then that's all the way. So everything is going to be lined up straight up and down like that. This is cut to. We're not going to worry about the pocket. Don't worry about the pocket. I'm not even sure I want you to worry about this yet either, the facing, but I do need you to cut this out. And let me explain this. This has 2 grain lines because there's 2 different. So you also have to have interfacing. I want you to have a fusible, lightweight interfacing for this. Fabric is pretty stiff, your muslin. You might not even worry about the don't worry about the interfacing unless your muslin is flimsy, okay? You promise me your fabric is not flimsy? You have good stiff muslin, Bethany?
Um, it's, I think it's pretty flimsy.
Pretty flimsy, can I see it? See the bolt.
Muslin.
Does it say heavyweight, medium weight?
Um, no.
No. Okay, so let me explain that here, guys. Pattern piece has 2 grain lines because you're gonna do one with this grain line. It says here cut one self. And so the regular self is this is the grain line. You're following this grain line. Do not make up a grain line. You have 2 grain lines only on this. This is the lengthwise grain parallel to the salvage, right? Boom, boom. And then you have a bias. You're doing one this way and you're doing one this way. And this is a bias, and then you make it parallel to the salvage like this, right? That makes sense? Doing
Mm-hmm.
bias? Yeah? You understand that, Susie?
Yeah, you
Okay.
cut two, one is on the self grain line.
And the other one
Parallel.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
And the undercollar is cut on bias self, usually, especially if they're all, you know, hand stitched, whatever. It helps the roll of it nicely by putting the undercollar on the bias and the top collar on the top. So you want to cut that. You want to cut your back jacket. Oh, we didn't put the double notch there. The double notch is on your back jacket, guys. Yep. And that tells you it's the back of the jacket and it's not matching anything. It's matching itself, right? It matches the same pattern piece again because you're sewing that together, okay? Let me get the muslin down here so I can show you some things on it, okay? So we got that. And then there's going to be the mitering. You're going to sew this back piece here all the way to here. And then if you go a half of an inch this way, you're going to stop your sewing there for the vent. That makes sense?
No.
And if you want to put interfacing on the collar, you put interfacing on the collar and you put interfacing only on this facing piece, which is also parallel, front facing parallel to the selvage, okay? It gets tricky here. This is where it shows you here these little circles.
The little circles.
See these crazy little circles? It's also going to be on that video. You'll see Monday. But everything on this pattern is a half of an inch seam allowance all around. I didn't make it complicated because usually professional patterns, this would only be a quarter, right? But I wanted to keep it simple, so I made a half of an inch everywhere. So that means it's a half of an inch, half of an inch. You don't have to really put those notches. You just know that every seam, including the collar and the pocket, is a half of an inch that way. It's going to be a little tricky getting that point on that collar, right? But so these little circles, that's the slash line in order to separate that to be able to fit the collar. So let me see if I can pull up my my directions. If you can't find the email or anything, you just go to my website, Elias Couture. And on my website, on the top bar, different things. I have the jersey jacket instructions right here, sewing instructions. And then I have explanation. And then I have description.
Oh, yeah, I looked at all
What you're
that.
going to avoid is doing all that binding.
Okay.
But first, you're going to be putting all your darts in.
Actually, I printed mine out so I can follow.
You
paper.
did? I didn't know you could do that. Okay, that's good. Awesome. Now keep in mind, guys, where is your dart point? Okay, we want to make sure that we're not sewing this in the wrong spot. Bethany, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where's your dart point on your jacket pattern?
Start point on my jacket is, yeah. Where's mine?
If you have to put it in a big red or whatever, that's where you're going to end
1 inch down from the apex.
1 inch. Yeah, so you don't want, it's not bust point. Bust point's the same thing as apex. So it has to be an inch below that, wherever that is, that's where you sew your dart in, right? So the first thing you want to do is sew your shoulder darts on your back, shoulder, your bust darts there. There's only 2 darts, right? That you have.
Has to do the lining to put on the,
No lining on this jacket.
not lining, the finishing.
You don't have to put the binding.
Oh, the binding, yes.
No
Okay.
binding for the sample, okay? Only when you're making it, yeah. If we did the whole thing like we could have done that all together, but we didn't. So you're gonna put the darts in first, right? And then you knot it up, and then this is where you put the pell on the sleeve, on the front facing as well as the collars, right? The upper collar and under collar, and then that's where I put all the binding. See, all the binding is there. You skip that spot. Then you start, so you don't have to, you're not going to put the pocket in. You skip that spot like that. And let me just make this so it's all together. Yeah. Okay. And then so you're gonna skip that spot, unless you want to put it in for yourself, so you have, for later. And then you start sewing all of these panels together, right? The center back together, the side back together, the front to the side back together, okay? So follow that just like it says. And then this is where you're gonna understand the notches, Susie, okay? So this is the facing. you will, then go ahead and cut out the facing as well, because I do show you with the facing. You might as well follow these directions, okay?
Yeah.
Guys together, and this is, see, this is where the circles are. You see where I'm slashing? That is where you're slashing. On the jacket, I have the circles. I did not put the circles on the facing because it's on the jacket too. So wherever this is, you want to put that little cross mark, and that's where you're going to slash the pattern. Let's see if I can-
All the way to that point.
Only a half of an inch in to your
But
point.
oh,
And
but
so it should be, if your black line, you want to make it shy of that. You only want to clip no more than, you only want to start clipping about a quarter of an inch. You don't clip all the way. What my directions said, because I did this a while ago. You want to stay stitch first. You first stitch that line. Okay, follow the directions, stitch the line so that if you don't overcut on the top, and then clip the two corner angles. So that angle and then this angle. Is it showing you? Oh. Then you clip the two angles, but only clip it like a quarter of an inch. Don't go all the way to your stitching line. The stitching line is all the way a half of an inch. So that's your guide. Do not go past your half of an inch when you clip that, okay? Right? Does that make sense?
That's just for ease, so it lays flat.
No,
Mm.
that's just how you're able to put the collar in. That's the only way to get the collar in.
Okay.
And you have to do that on your jacket as well as you put that on here as well. So you're going to transfer these dots. You want to go this way and then this way. And then what you're going to do is you can get a pin, find your circle, and then go ahead and put a hole where that circle entrance.
Okay.
Okay, find the pin. So you find the center of your point. Mine is here. So I'm going to go like that. And then I'm going to go like this. I've got the other panel. I have the other piece underneath it, right? The face underneath it, like that. Find the center. I know there's a lot of lines. That's why I didn't want to put anything else on there. Okay, because there's a lot of lines already. Boom. And then if I take this off,
I can't really see what you're doing.
okay,
There.
I'm gonna put a dot in red. Right?
Shift it.
I just pinch the center of your particular circle. Find your circle, and the center of that circle is where you're going to put the pin all the way through the pieces, and then I get that's the puncture hole there.
To the back.
And this is the facing.
Oh, facing. Okay.
That
Sleeve.
one. That's why I said, you guys, I wanted to just review this. That's why you were supposed to read this at least twice. And I know Susie did, but still, if you're still not comprehending, you got, see, this is then you're going to be sewing a half of it. It's called a stay stitching, just like my directions say, half of an inch, all the way around. Then you clip in that angle this way and an angle this way, not all the way, only about 3/8 or a quarter of an inch the most. You don't want to clip past your sewing line on that. And then you're clipping the same ones on the jacket itself. So then you've already sewed your shoulders in here, right? This is already sewn to the other piece. And then you also stay stitch here and do the same thing to the main part of the jacket, cut and cut. See the angle on that? Does that angle make sense?
Mhm.
It's a little tricky. If you guys want a little session before, let me know. And then these pieces go together. I didn't want to put more than I think 10 steps for each one. I was just doing, because I have a whole videos on each part of sewing this jacket. I think there's one just for this, for the collar. I think there's one just for the shoulder pads. I think there's one just for the sleeves. Okay, so I gave you that playlist if you want to see that as well. But then you have to put that to then you have to sew that to the collar.
I did the shoulders, jacket sleeves, pattern prep.
I thought I did one with they're not specific, they're just sort of,
I know, I scrolled around,
you couldn't find it?
I color one.
I didn't, it wasn't the how-to, it was more of a journey type of thing. This
Okay.
sews into this, so this facing sews into this part of the facing. And you have a lapel like this. At least if I see where the outer edge is, this is the outer edge of your collar. This is where you sew it into the neckline. Notches are for where you sew into a garment. If you don't see notches, it's an outer part of a garment usually, okay? We don't put notches on an outer part of a garment. So don't confuse this side with this side because these are the notches, right? How do you have any questions or feel uncomfortable with this?
Say that again. So that's the outer edge of the collar, okay.
Yeah.
It's not the curved side, it's the straighter, well, that's kind of curved too. Okay.
Yeah, and then we just fold it. So if I can show you, this is as far as this is all you have to get done for the same. You don't have to look at that as well. I've got my shoulder pads in there. I think they're just pinned at the center, right? You've got your seams put together here, right? The hem, we're just flipping up. After you put your facing on the front lapel like this, it ends here. And when you put the lapel where it ends here, then it'll tell you how much to fold up. It's usually about 1.75 inches is what the hem would be there. And then you just fold up, and then I have it just very loosely basted and pressed up. I would at least baste it because pinning, we're gonna have too many pins going on already. So baste that. Here is the back vent. It just folds over. You can leave it raw. There's a mitering on one side. I just folded it up, actually. I didn't even miter it. If you didn't want to miter it, you can just fold that up. Because I need to know the length of the jacket and just hand baste that really big. As far as the collar goes, that's probably going to be your trickiest thing is you've never done that up before. But you can see this is the front facing. It's connected to that little scoopy thing there. So that's connected to that. And then that sews into the collar. It's completely separate there. So the under collar, which is here, is bias. The top collar is straight grain like this. And then it gets tricky. That shape that goes like this is part of where it angles into this shape.
I think I can do it.
We can do it.
I'm gonna start it in the next several days. If I'm having trouble by Tuesday, I'll let you know.
Okay. What do is at least get Bethany, you know what I mean, the main part of the jacket sewn together. At least get the facing to this part here. I was just going to be more concerned, even though I know the collar's a bit tricky, I was more concerned about the sleeve because the sleeve, I'll take this out here. And you can see there's, just like we did the sleeve on the dress, remember how we had to put the double rows of gathering like that?
Mm-hmm.
We had to ease it. You can also see that, like I said, just so you know, see, this is the side seam of the front of the jacket, right? It does not match the seam of the sleeve. Just so be aware, don't try to match it because it's not going to match, right? What you want to do is match this notch a little bit of ease. This even has more ease than I would like, right? Here. And base that to the center and then the double notch here. Let's see if I have my notches still so you can see them. I think yeah, you've got the center notch there. Front notch has that one notch there. The center notch is here. And then the double notch should have been on this little guy right there, actually, this guy here. And the double notch is there. So it is there. Here's the double notch for the sleeve and the jacket. Make sure those guys match. And put that on a bigger stitch, like a 4 or 5 when you're doing the armhole, because if we have to take it apart, I want you to be able to rip it apart and we readjust it then, the center notch and then here. So I would mainly, I don't want you don't have to get fancy, but I need you to get all these pieces in. It's important to get, at the hem up where it needs to be and the collar in because it won't lay on your body right, and we can't get a good idea of what's going on without it laying on your body correct. Does that make sense? So yeah, so just let me know if you're struggling. It'll push everything if we don't get this, at least the main body sewn together, right? Yeah. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can. The instructions look pretty clear too.
Take a picture of your question or dilemma, send it to me by email. I could probably just give you a feedback on that,
Yeah, I'll definitely be doing that.
Yeah, because that might help. Just the fit that I want to do. It's really important that I give you any changes to this fit. And then we're transporting it to the pattern and making those changes to the pattern. Because if we don't make the changes to the pattern, then you're not going to have a good pattern to go forward with, right? I want you to leave with a pattern that can be used and cut and that it's yours and fits you and you're proud of. That's, the name of the game for this session and stuff. So I thought with what you understood about sewing, that you would be able to do it, but making a jacket is not like sewing anything else. It's a little bit more technical. It's definitely trickier if you've never done it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So reach out, let me know. And I know you don't come back till quite late, so I don't, just let me know if you want a session. Susie, okay?
Okay,
Makes
Good.
sense?
all right, thank you.
You
Thank
got
you.
it. All
Bye.
right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.